Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how at the age of 30 I taught myself to code and it pretty much completely changed my life. And I'm hoping it's going to show you that if you focus on something you're passionate about, it can completely change your life as well. So if you're new here, my name's Chad. I'm a senior software engineer based in Charlotte, and around 5 years ago I started the journey to teach myself to code. What kind of led me here? A little bit about my background. I was one of those kids in high school where I pretty much had no clue what I wanted to do. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably in that same position or have found themselves in that same position. You know, I think it's a big decision at 18 to kind of try to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. And, for me, it's like I was still a kid, so I didn't have that much experience to kind of figure that out. If I could go back and give myself some advice, I would probably say to take a year off and go work a real job or a couple real jobs and see what it's actually like. Maybe gain some skills and decide if I wanted to go to school after that. I think sometimes we're kind of taught that that's like the only path is like you have to go to school right after 18 and you have to know exactly what you want to do. And I think most of us, we don't have enough experiences to know what we want to do. So anyways, I didn't take a break off college. I went straight to college. I picked a major in graphic design, which was, I had some interest in art and computers, and I was like, hey, that's a good middle ground. I kind of figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't really good at graphic design, and I didn't really enjoy the types of things that we would work on. For me, I didn't really realize that graphic design was doing business proposal type things. So like logo marks and business cards, and back then it was like way before web design and things like that were a real thing. So there was a lot of boring kind of print media. For me, it was like I had no interest in doing that, and I also was not very good at it. I got another sales job because I knew I was really good at it and I could make decent money doing it. And I was like, I need to find some type of direction. I was like 29, about to be 30. I was like, I can't keep bouncing around in jobs forever. Like, there's got to be something that I can do that I'm good at and I'm passionate about, and also it's going to make me a lot more money and is going to be a lot more stable. Yeah, I really quickly, I spent like a year in school and I dropped out, and I was still stuck in the same position of not really knowing what I wanted to do. But now I'm also out of school and my parents are like, you need to get a job. So from there, over the years, I kind of bounced around doing different things. I worked on cars. I got into sales. I was really good at sales, but it was also not really enjoyable for me. But it did teach me a lot. It taught me how to talk to people, which is a really, really good skill. I was a bartender, which again was actually really good skills for learning how to talk to people and working in a fast-paced environment. And then I also did end up actually getting a job as a graphic designer in my late 20s, just based off some of my experience in college, it was kind of fun, but it was also, I was not very good at it. And, I was eventually let go because they found people that were much more skilled at doing graphic design. So yeah, I think from that point, once I left that graphic design job, from there I was like, what is a career path that I can take that I feel like I'm actually good at? And after doing a little bit of research, I kind of stumbled across software engineering. I had some experience when I was younger, just making some basic websites, doing a little bit of coding, but nothing crazy. And I was like, this is probably something I could be pretty decent at. And I think I would kind of like it. And for me, it was really just kind of figuring out, okay, how can I break into this industry and how can I see if this is something I would actually enjoy? So yeah, I think for me, what was also really important was being almost 30 and not having a lot of money. Going back to school was going to be a very difficult option. And so I also wanted to try to do something where I could hopefully teach myself and break into the industry. And so that's another reason why I kind of picked software engineering, but there's tons of other careers that you could do that with. It doesn't necessarily have to be software engineering. Take copywriting, for example, is a good one. Marketing, social media marketing. There's tons of examples out there. And I think for me, it was the combination of finding something that I was good at, which was, my experience with coding websites when I was younger and being passionate about technology, and also the fact that there was tons of resources to kind of teach myself how to be a software engineer is kind of why I landed on going down that path. And so for me, my approach to teaching myself how to code was like, if I'm not going to go back to school, I'm going to treat this as if I was. Even if I don't have classes to attend, I'm going to take every day as much as I can to kind of take courses online, study, and build things. So that way I could have that framework for learning, because nobody's going to hold you accountable if you're not in school. In this scenario, it was just me. And so I had to find my own motivation. I think what really kept me going was not necessarily saying like, hey, I have to do this for 4 or 5 hours every day. It was more so making sure I was consistent. And so, some days I could go 2, 3, 4 hours. Some days it was just, hey, let me see if I can sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and just watch a real quick clip and take some notes. And a lot of times that 5 or 10 minutes would lead into a half an hour session. But a lot of times, even that 5 to 10 minutes kept me consistent and kept me accountable. Yeah, so, that journey of teaching myself to code, I did that for about a year, every day, kind of teaching myself a little bit more. In my process with that, I can go into this more if anybody's interested in, but most of it was, taking some online courses. Reddit was a really great resource. YouTube's a great resource. There's tons of online places where you can take courses, but it was just finding a few courses that really resonated with me, taking those courses, learning what I could, taking notes, rewriting a lot of the code that I was learning, and then taking those and building some practical projects so I can reinforce that learning. I think a lot of people, when they're learning anything, they just get caught up in absorbing the information. So they'll go seeking, what information can I learn more? Information can I learn more of? And they don't actually take that knowledge and put it into practice. And this doesn't just deal with coding, it could deal with anything. I think anything that you're trying to learn, putting it into practice and doing it over and over again in a real life situation is going to go much further than just reading about it. Reading is only going to take you so much before practicing is what's actually going to, help you retain that information and get better at it, really. They say practice makes perfect, and it's true. That was my best chance for learning. And so fast forward, a year in, I taught myself to code. I'm kind of working part-time. I'm getting burnt out a little bit, my job. And so I gave myself 2 months. I said, hey, I'm going to put all my focus into building a portfolio and just really applying to as many jobs as possible. I felt at that point I had built 3 or 4 projects. I could put it in a portfolio, and I was like, I know enough where I think I can get a junior level job, and I'm just going to go all in. And I think that's the other thing is, like, at some point you have to have the confidence in yourself to just really, take a chance on putting forth what you learn. And even if I wasn't ready, at least applying for jobs and doing interviews would show me like where I'm at compared to, the people that I am competing for jobs with. I think you can kind of get in your head and you never really know where you're at until you kind of put it to the test. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to apply for as many jobs as possible. And for me, it wasn't even just applying, it was also joining communities. Like we have a local dev Slack channel that I joined. It was reaching out to recruiters, getting my portfolio in front of anybody that I possibly could, because I knew I was at a disadvantage for not having a college degree. And so I was like, I need to show as many people as I can that I can actually do this before getting the interview. Because I think if they just looked at my resume, I wasn't gonna get that interview. And so I think really putting myself out there, reaching out, being proactive really helped me out. And honestly, I was lucky enough, I had several interviews. I had 2 job offers, and my first job offer, I ended up getting, sorry, not my first job offer, my second job offer, I ended up taking that job, which was for $80,000, which was way more money than I had ever seen and way more money than I thought I could ever make. And, honestly, I was and I still am super grateful for them taking a shot on me. And yeah, that's how I broke in to my first job. And from there, it never stopped. The grinding doesn't stop. Being 30 years old, I kind of always have felt that I had something to prove. So, especially compared to my peers who are much younger. And so at every job I've had, it's just kind of buckling down and hustling and really putting forth the effort and showing that I can do this as good as anybody else in this field, even without having a degree. And really, that's what it's all about in any career. Is your schooling is only going to get you so much anyway. So you have to have the kind of confidence and drive to really go out there and hone your own craft. And that's kind of what I've been doing over the last 5 years. And now I'm a senior engineer. I've kind of worked my way up. I still have a lot of imposter syndrome, but I've made something in this career, and I've been really lucky for everybody who's given me a chance so far. But I've also really been able to utilize every skill that I've gained over the course of my adult life, working in other jobs, and really making sure that I can stand out no matter where I'm at. And I think that's what's really important. And I think if anybody can take some advice, even if they're not looking to make a career change, it's like, use whatever skills you can and that you have to your advantage, and really put yourself out there, because most people aren't really willing to put themselves out there and actually show those skills. And everybody's kind of got their own strengths, and really just showing those strengths and being willing to communicate and show what you have is going to put you further ahead than all of your peers. That's how you're really going to get yourself ahead. And so, yeah, that's kind of like a real quick overview of my story. You might be listening to this and you might be thinking, okay, cool. I just listened to you talk about making this career change and teaching yourself to code. What can I take away from this? And I'm hoping that what this story does for you is show you that, hey, like, this guy, he's not a special guy. Like, he's just some random kid who dropped out of college. Like, I'm not a genius by any means. I'm not special. I just really took an idea. I put all my focus into that idea 100% and put all my effort into it. And I made it happen. And what I hope you take away from this is, whatever you want to do, it doesn't have to be coding. Maybe it's a different type of career switch. Maybe it's becoming a copywriter. Maybe it's getting into marketing. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's picking up a new hobby that you were afraid to pick up. Or maybe it's getting into fitness. Whatever it is, if you put your 100% of your effort into it, there is no doubt you will achieve your goal, because that's really what separates the average person from the people that really make things happen in their life. Is they will focus and pursue that goal relentlessly until they hit it. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I hope everybody takes away from this. I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts, comments, opinions, even your own stories, if you have stories about you pursuing your own goals. If anybody wants to hear any of my other thoughts about how I learned to code, what other careers I would go in if I didn't learn to code, I'd be more than happy to share some of those experiences with you. Anyways, I appreciate you listening to my story. I hope you have a great day.